Good afternoon, my name is Jeffrey Lashley. Today is July 28, 2024, and this is for Modern Sporting Rifle Week 7. So first thing we're going to do is make sure that the firearm is safe. Check the chamber physically and visually. Make sure there's no rounds or anything in the area. So trigger work, part 1 here. When should you do trigger work? And the customer is going to come in and ask you to do trigger work, or if there's a problem with trigger work, you should not be doing it if you're not confident that you can do it proficiently and safely. So I would do it when I was confident when performing the work, knowing that they're not going to get injured and there's not going to be any negligent or accidental discharges. I wouldn't do it if the pull is too light. So if a customer wants to go below certain pounds, like 1 pound is what is kind of in the books, you know, it's too light if it's below a pound or whatnot. So I wouldn't do it if I know this is going to be a safety hazard. If, say, the customer is very young and doesn't understand safety quite as much as a more seasoned shooter. You've got to know your customer's ability. There's legal and safety issues that can arise from working on triggers. Firearms can accidentally fire if the pull is too soft, or if you change the parts that are too small, so they could actually create, say, an automatic firing rifle or something like that. So if you were to remove certain parts or alter the parts, the disconnector, or if you were to dwindle down the sear. So it would be a legal issue to do so, and you should not dabble in anything that's going to cause you a call from the ATF and or cause an accident. Making the triggers to be able to fire auto or going below 1 pound of pull weight, ethics comes into play, and knowledge from the gunsmith prevent the problem. So keep that in mind. Next, we'll go into a detailed inspection in this next section. So for a detailed inspection, you'll want to check to make sure that the weapon is clear. Again, physically, visually, you know, you're checking all moving parts. The safety will be checked in the last portion of this, but you start from the back, go to the front, make sure everything is operational. Magazine, make sure you're clear, but make sure that your magazine release works. Your forward assist pushes forward and works. You will check your barrel, and you're going to check the bore. You're going to look for any wear in the chamber. You're going to check the muzzle device, make sure that it is on tight and proper. You could remove it and check the crown. You're going to look down the bore to make sure there's no corrosion or pitting. You can use a bore scope to do so in checking that. You're going to check your chamber, or your bolt carrier group. You're going to make sure that there's no corrosion, no additional wear on any of the moving parts. You're going to make sure to check your firing pin. You're going to check the depth of the firing pin, the protrusion gauge. You're going to check the protrusion amount. You're going to take your bolt apart and check the rings, gas rings, and also you'll check your ejector and your extractor for wear and operation, and make sure the spring is correct. Next, you can check your gas system. So whenever the bolt was inserted, make sure that the gas tube lines up, and also if you had your handguard off, you would check the gas block and make sure that it is tight. So from there, we would check the firing sequence, Alright, so I put the bolt carrier group back in there, but also whenever you have everything apart, you want to check your upper receiver and lower receiver. You will check your any friction points, make sure that there's not any wear along the friction points, and then you can also inspect your chamber and your bore a little bit better. But also then your lower receiver, you're going to check all of your functioning parts and make sure there's not any excessive wear and that your buffer tube is working properly as well. Always look for corrosion, pitting, and make sure this functions properly. Next, we'll move on to the actual safety and the disconnector. So with the safety on, you should be able to pull the trigger back and it does not do anything. And then whenever you do put it on fire, you pull the trigger. You want to keep the trigger held to the rear, so whenever you recycle it, whenever you let off of the trigger, you'll hear clunk. So in doing so, that then releases from the disconnector back to the sear, and therefore is now ready to fire or engage again. So right now the hammer is resting on the sear, not the disconnector. The disconnector keeps it from being full auto, so whenever the bolt goes to the rear, it stops it, and then you put it back on safe. But when you're doing that, you're checking to make sure everything is smooth and feels like there's not any hanging up or any problems, and that whenever you pull the trigger back, it is smooth every time. So moving on then from there, repairs. The easiest repairs are going to be anything that is easily purchased, replaced, removable parts, consumables, like the entire bolt carrier group is replaceable. The pins, the safety, triggers and spring parts, gas system, all of it is actually very easy to remove and replace. It's easy to procure. Some of the hard things that would be is any kind of machine work. If the barrel is has any burring or deep corrosion or pitting that would need machine work, you'd probably just replace the barrel. But if somebody wanted to get threads done, or the threads needed to be replaced, then that would take additional machine work. That would be harder. Same thing with the chamber area and the upper receiver. If any of your rails on the inside where the bolt is moving along, then that could need additional work, machine work, and that could be harder. But overall, the AR platform is fairly easy to work on. Now, diagnosing the problem is maybe a bit more difficult, but all in all, the repair should be fairly simple, or just replace the parts. All right, that covers this week. Look forward to next week. Thank you very much.